They call her the Fairy Godmother. But what if she wasn't divine at all? What if she was something darker? A necromancer who raised the dead to make Cinderella's dream come true? Tonight, we're peeling back the glitter and magic to reveal the curse that hides underneath one of the most beloved fairy tales of all time. Because the original stories of Cinderella weren't about fairy dust or glass slippers. They were about death, witchcraft, and the dangerous price of resurrection. By the end of this video, you'll see why Cinderella's miracle wasn't a blessing from above. It was a pact with something far more sinister. Long before Disney turned her into a picture of purity, Cinderella's story existed as a folk tale whispered across Europe. And each version had something disturbingly in common: death. In the oldest versions, Cinderella's mother dies and isn't replaced by a godmother at all. Instead, she's replaced by a spirit, one that returns from the grave. In the German tale Aschenputtel, written by the brothers Grimm, the mother's dying words tell her daughter, "Be good and pious, and I will look down on you from heaven." But Cinderella doesn't pray upward. She kneels before her mother's grave, where she plants a hazel tree watered with her tears. Every time she cries there, the tree blooms, and when she needs help, she calls to it. That's not divine intervention. That's necromancy, a ritual act of calling on the dead. In European folk magic, graveside trees were sacred. They acted as bridges between the living and the dead, a place where spirits could move freely between worlds. Witches and cunning women used these trees for summoning rituals. They'd bury offerings beneath their roots, bones, hair, or the ashes of loved ones, and whisper names to wake the sleeper. So when Cinderella prays under that tree, and a dove descends to grant her wishes, that isn't a fairy, it's a spirit manifestation, a familiar, a supernatural servant sent by her dead mother. And what does that spirit do? It gives her fine clothes, jewels, a carriage, and ultimately it leads her to the prince. But here's the twist. In necromantic belief, everything the dead give must be paid back, and payment always comes in blood. The fairy godmother we all know today? She's a sanitized invention. She didn't exist until the 17th century, when French writer Charles Perrault retold Cinderella's story. He replaced the spirit at the grave with a whimsical marraine fée, a fairy godmother, because Christian Europe couldn't handle the idea of a child summoning the dead. But scholars who've traced the tale further, back to 9th century China's Ye Xian, and to early Slavic and Germanic folklore, found evidence that the helper figure was always a dead ancestor, a spirit of the bloodline. In some old Russian versions, Cinderella isn't helped by a fairy at all, but by a witch who dwells in bones and ashes. Sound familiar? Cinderella sleeps in the ashes too. Aschenputtel literally means ashful. She's being trained, initiated, in the rites of death. The godmother is just her mentor from the underworld. Let's pause for a second, because every bargain in old folklore, every wish granted, had a price. And the devil's favorite trick was giving mortals what they wanted, only to take what they loved most in return. So what was Cinderella's price? In some darker European versions, especially the Eastern ones, after she's married to the prince, her stepmother and stepsisters die mysteriously. In the Grimm version, the doves, the same spirits, that helped her peck out their eyes. It's a chilling reflection of that ancient belief. If you call on the dead to rise, they always take someone back with them. The idea of a godmother, a sponsor who intervenes, was a later religious mask. But originally, she was the witch of the ashes, the one who traded death for transformation. The ritual signs are everywhere if you look closely. The ashes, used in ancient death rites to cleanse and conceal identity. The midnight visitations. Spirits only appear between dusk and dawn. The transformation of rags to riches. A symbolic resurrection of the self. Cinderella didn't just change her clothes. She crossed the line between the living and the dead and came back reborn. In witchcraft folklore, that's what necromancy truly meant. Not just raising corpses, but calling on death itself to reshape fate. And in that light, Cinderella's godmother isn't a fairy. She's a necromantic spirit, an echo of the mother she lost, using forbidden magic to rewrite destiny. As Christianity spread through Europe, older pagan and necromantic practices were rewritten to fit new moral codes. The godmother became holy. The dead mother became heavenly. The grave tree turned into a magical gift. And by the time Disney adapted the tale in 1950, all death, ritual, and blood were erased. The godmother's wand glowed, the dead tree became a pumpkin, and the dark pact became a miracle. But you can still feel it, that eerie undertone, because somewhere deep in the roots of this story, a mother's spirit still lingers, waiting in the ashes. Imagine it this way. Every time you tell the story of Cinderella, you're repeating a summoning spell. The original tale was passed down through word, not writing. It was told aloud, usually near the hearth, the place of ashes, during the longest, darkest nights of the year. Each retelling was believed to wake the spirit again, the one who traded her life to make her daughter's wish come true. So maybe the fairy godmother isn't a fantasy after all. Maybe she's still out there, watching, listening. Every time a girl whispers, "I wish," the next time you hear the words bibbidi-bobbidi-boo, remember what they used to mean. They weren't nonsense syllables. They were binding words, echoes of necromantic incantations used to command spirits. Cinderella's story isn't just about kindness or dreams. It's about grief. It's about how far someone will go to bring back what's been lost, even if it means making a deal with death. The fairy godmother isn't a symbol of hope. She's a reminder. Every miracle has a cost, and sometimes that cost is your soul. If you want to uncover more dark truths hidden in classic fairy tales, watch the next video. It's already waiting for you on the screen.